HarperCollins presents An Orphan's Sorrow by Cathy Sharp. Read by Antonia Beamish. Prologue, 1937.
"Mummy, please don't hurt me,"
the child whimpered as her mother caught hold of her arm, strong fingers digging into her flesh as she dragged her along the landing to the top of the dimly lit stairs.
"I didn't mean to wet the bed."
Filthy child! Her mother's grip tightened on her arm. "I just can't cope with this, Cassie. With your father gone and me ill, it's time to end it, for both of us."
"Mummy, you're frightening me,"
Cassie cried.
Please don't talk like this."
"We'll go in the river together," her mother said, eyes wild with despair. "It's the best for us, Cassie. Your father left us, and we've no money to pay rent on even these poor rooms. I can't feed you or myself." They had reached the top of the steep stairs. Cassie clutched at her mother as she started to drag her down them, bumping her against the banisters so that she stumbled to her knees on the worn carpeting, banging her elbows and head against the knobbly banisters. She cried out and screamed to her mother to let her go.
"I don't want to die, Mummy."
Cassie wept desperately, pushing at her mother as hard as she could, struggling to break free of the punishing grip. She was terrified of the woman she'd always loved, hardly recognizing her in the wild-eyed creature who was tormenting her with threats of death. She jerked, one last time trying to evade the iron grip, and then it happened. Her mother screamed, her body hanging in the balance for one terrible moment before she tumbled backwards down the stairs, dragging Cassie with her. Cassie screamed loudly as her head struck the wooden banister, and then everything went black, and she sank into an unconsciousness. Gradually, through the mists and the pain, over time that she was unaware of passing, the girl heard women talking, women with harsh voices and rough hands that seemed almost to punish as they tended her ills. Her mind whirled with distress as she struggled to remember what had happened, but her head hurt, and she couldn't remember properly. Everything was muddled in her mind. "Her poor mother broke her neck," a woman said in a loud voice on the day the mists cleared for the first time. "The police say the neighbours heard shouting and screaming. They think the girl might have pushed her mother." "Cassie pushed her mother down the stairs?" a second female voice said. "Well, I would never have thought it. She looks like such a sweet little girl, so fragile and pretty, with that pale hair and those lovely blue eyes." "Well, you never know these things," the first voice sighed. "Children can be evil little devils, you know." "What will they do with her?" "I think they'll put her away somewhere. I mean, she obviously isn't right in the head since the fall, is she? No doubt she'll be shut up in an institution where she can't do any harm. Or maybe they'll send her to Australia, like they do all the unwanted kids these days." Tears slipped down Cassie's cheeks. She remembered her name now, and her mother shouting at her before she fell. Was it her fault? Cassie didn't know. All she understood was that no one wanted her, no one loved her, and that she was going to be sent away to somewhere she'd never heard of. It terrified her. The voices were moving away now. Shivering, Cassie slipped out of bed and pulled on the clothes she found folded on a chair beside her. She walked through the long room where other children lay in beds, few of them moving, their eyes just staring. One of the children started screaming, and some ladies that Cassie thought might be nurses gathered around her bed trying to calm her. No one noticed Cassie as she walked out of the room, down the stairs, and out of the front door, into the street. Chapter 1. Sister Jean Norton shivered in the cool night air, pulling up her coat collar and looking about the street down which she needed to walk every evening after her work was done. It was a wretched place of dirty terraces with broken window frames, paint peeling from them, and gutters choked with filth, and she wished that she did not have to negotiate its length to reach her comfortable little cottage. But the only other way was a mile longer, and she was tired.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?